Hello, all you cool cats and kittens. Oh wait, wrong show. Attention chiropractors, slayers of subluxation, unleashers of the imprisoned impulse. I am Dr. Anthony Pellegrino from ChiroEdge, and welcome to this week's episode of the Chiropractic Research Breakdown, where each week we break down the most relevant chiropractic science and philosophy to empower you with the ammo and certainty necessary to change your community from the inside out. Good evening, chiropractors, slayers of subluxation, unleashers of the imprisoned impulse. Welcome to finally another episode of the Chiropractic Research Breakdown, where, used to weekly, more sporadically now, we break down the most relevant chiropractic science and philosophy necessary to allow you to empower the health of your community. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Pellegrino, and today, after messages, comments, emails, concern from you guys, I bought a new microphone that broke 6 months ago, and I'm kind of geeking out. Big fan of it. I actually have one for the office and one for home now, so hopefully, should I not find excuses, you'll have more of this kind of information in your podcast player of choice. And I'm excited to be back with you guys in this world, this crazy world that we are in right now, and just filling you guys with the good stuff. Filling you guys with the research that you need to change the health of your community from the inside out. And yeah, in case you're wondering, the reason I'm not on recently is because practice is booming, and much like many of those that you guys have talked about. And I made a decision months ago that I was going to make sure that I dialed in 100% into the practice before continuing any side projects. And that ended up being a really, 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 really good decision for us. And as we continue on our associate search, I'll be able to put out more content in the future. But I just feel so called to continue sharing with you guys. I have such a queue of articles that I want to share, that I've wanted to share, that I've babied out in sharing. And today is no different. So enough of the intro. I'm sorry if you like this. I'm sorry that you didn't have it, but I'm back and I plan on continuing maybe on a weekly basis. I don't know. I'll let you know. We're going to go over a study today from PLOS One called Constipation Might Be Associated with Risk of Allergic Rhinitis, a nationwide population-based cohort study. This is not a chiropractic journal. This is from Taiwan it's edited by Ohio State University, but this is from the Chung-Shan Medical University in Taichung, Taiwan, and specifically at the Division of Gastroenterology. Here's the deal. We're seeing more of these types of studies, these database-based studies recently. I'm going to kind of go into that. But essentially, the authors are trying to see or have noticed that individuals who are constipated tend to have allergic rhinitis. They define that as a burdensome respiratory disorder whose etiology and pathophysiology remain controversial and therefore most likely multifactorial. It's characterized by paroxysmal sneezing, nasal stuffiness, postnasal drainage, rhinorrhea, and itchy nose. The prevalence has increased dramatically across the globe over the past few decades and currently affects from 10 to 30% of adults, and children in industrialized countries. That is massive. Constipation is also one of the most common multifactorial gastrointestinal disorders with a median prevalence worldwide, ranging from anywhere from 8% to 32.9%, depending on the study. So this is a massive study because what they did, and we've reviewed this style of study in a previous podcast with some of these countries that have just these massive centralized databases. There was one out of Denmark that we looked at, if you guys remember back in the day, where we saw increased rates of allergies, asthma, autoimmune disorders, even leukemia for individuals who were born via C-section. Essentially, to put it as simple as possible, when you have this big centralized database for an entire country, they can just go in and say, show me everybody who was diagnosed with constipation during the years of 99 to, 2013, I think, in this study, and show me how many of those same people were diagnosed with allergic rhinitis and show me how many people were diagnosed, or show me how many people weren't diagnosed with constipation and how many of them had allergic rhinitis. So it is able to just give us really big associative correlative studies really quickly. So they looked at 57,786 patients with constipation and matched them to 57,786 controls from, yeah, I was right, between 99 to 2013. And what they found was that the rate of allergic rhinitis was almost more than double for individuals who were diagnosed with constipation than those who were not. So this is something that is huge in chiropractic, especially pediatric chiropractic. We often have this poor plumbing equals poor health conversation. And if the body is not properly excreting toxins, waste via, pooping, what's going to happen is obviously that it's going to relate to dysfunction in the body. It's pretty simple. It can contribute to things like a leaky gut, which will have an inflammatory reaction. And the focus of this study, that their proposed mechanism, was that the constipation itself was leading to a disruption in the normal microbiome of the gut that was causing an inflammatory reaction in the body that was causing huge issues with immune system disruption. All right. And I love that. And I love looking at that. And I love taking that approach. And some of you guys think that maybe this isn't the conversation that you would expect me to have because, well, I think that nutrition is important, but it bothers me when chiropractors, and I'm sorry if this is you, I'm not sorry if this is you, but you should know how I feel if you're listening to me, and you should know how I really feel about things. But it really bothers me when I see chiropractors who put so much more emphasis on nutrition and supplements and probiotics than they do on chiropractic. It would really bother me when I see people and sit in a seminar with people who grill the professor who's talking about nutrition or drill the instructor who's talking about nutrition about what type of testing the supplements have been under and this and that. And I know that in their practice, they're just flying sevening somebody. And it's like, you care so much more about this topic than you do about what chiropractic is. So why, me being very upfront about that, would I even comment on this at all? And the concept is that while I love that the authors of this study talk about the relationship between the gut and the brain and how the relationship between the gut and modulation of the immune system and the microbiome, I think that they're missing a piece. And this is where the chiropractic conversation needs to come in. Yes, there's tons of studies that show that chiropractic can help improve constipation in children who are constipated. And that's something that's good, but that is still, I believe, the symptom. Right? That is still I believe it's looking on the symptom and not at overall function. Because the bottom line is the question of why, right? And when we look at all of these studies, whenever you hear me talk about gut-brain axis, whenever we talk about the immune system, the neuromodulation, and all these different things, and all these different studies that show it, the word that comes up in all of these is the word vagus. Now, if you're listening to this, I hope you know that the vagus nerve is important to chiropractic. And I hope you don't think that I'm talking about the great city of Las Vegas, although it is amazing and some of my favorite chiropractors in the entire world. The Morellis are located there. Shout out to John and Allie and Leo, of course, future chiropractor. And of course, I think that Vegas is a great city, but we're talking about the vagus nerve, VAGUS, exits from the cranium, it goes down, it controls and modulates the parasympathetic rest and digest brake pedal nervous system. And there are tons of studies that actually show that improper function of the vagus nerve can lead to the very same things that this constipation and immune system conversation is happening. The very same poor plumbing equals poor health conversation that is happening. So much so that medicine has really gone ahead and decided to start targeting the vagus nerve with electrical stimulators to be able to stimulate it. Say, well, if it's not working well enough and this body's inflamed and this person is sick and their digestive systems are working and their health isn't good and they have fibro and this and that, well, then why don't we just zap it into existence? And I like the fact that they're taking a drugless approach here. But the thing is that what we're not asking is the question of, well, why is the vagus nerve not functioning properly in the first place? And if subluxation is present, specifically from birth trauma, specifically from the upper cervical spine, specifically from C2, C1, and the occiput. Don't forget, if the vagus nerve is not functioning properly, optimal health is, I will say, unachievable. So this brings me back to another study that I'm going to bring in here. We're going to bring in more than one. Again, this is +1. The name of that study was Constipation Might Be Associated with the Risk of Allergic Rhinitis, a nationwide population-based cohort study. So bring in that poor plumbing equals poor health conversation. Talk to the parents of the individuals who are on the fence about chiropractic care and tell them that they're more likely to have issues like allergies, asthma, autoimmune issues, immune system issues later on. Yes, bring that into your table talk. Use it to be bold and get those kids scanned if you're scanning. But the study that this reminds me of brings me back to 2016 Trends in Neuroscience, and it's called Psychobiotics and the Manipulation of Bacteria Gut Signals. And in that study, what the authors wanted to do was look at how specific probiotics, which they called psychobiotics, can influence the emotions, the regulations, the anxiety of their subjects. In these cases were rats. And going down to a section known as vagal signaling, they mention that several animal studies have found that vagus nerve mediates the relationships between psychobiotics and their psychobiological effects. And this is important, severing the nerve abolishes responses to psychobiotic administration. So basically, these studies that they found had huge changes in the mood, in the brain, in the emotional function of the subjects when they administered probiotics, when they actually focused on the gut. And when we talk about that healing from the inside out, I mean, that is beautiful. You are what you eat and you feel how you eat, right? But the thing that I think is such an important thing for chiropractors to latch on to, and the reason that I get so passionate about people who spend so much time talking about nutrition, while nutrition is important, while they still aren't delivering what I believe to be the highest standard of care chiropractically in their office, and their practice members don't know what subluxation is, and their practice members know more about the supplements they were recommended versus what an actual specific and scientific chiropractic adjustment is. The reason that this is so important is because research shows, and it's not our research, it's medical research, shows that it doesn't matter what we put into the body. It doesn't matter what we put into the gut, what we put in there. It doesn't matter if the vagus nerve is not functioning. Any positive effects psychobiotically that happened from administering these psychobiotics was completely eliminated when they severed the vagus nerve. And yes, you're not going to have practice members that come into your office and they have someone who snipped off the vagus nerve, but the fact is that you're going to see vagal dysfunction. You are. You're going to see how it affects the body. You're going to see it on your thermal evaluations. You're going to see it on HRV if you see that, and you're going to see all these different things. And yeah, you can recommend that you hook your practice member's vagus nerve up to a car battery, or you can specifically and scientifically start. I mean, you do that other stuff later, but start by analyzing for subluxation and correcting it to allow the proper function and adaptability of the nervous system, specifically on the vagus nerve. And you want to do that stuff later, that's great, but start with that. Right? And I mean, I think you should end with it too, but hey, chiropractors are chiropractors, right? Start with that. And once you got that under control, then look other places, then refer other places. But nothing that you do matters, right? If that nervous system isn't functioning 100%. So guys, did you miss me? I missed you. I really did. I really did. Dr. Anthony from ChiroEdge. I think did I start by saying Absolute Chiropractic? That's my practice in New Jersey, in the Jersey Shore. Another plug for associates. Come here. Dr. Anthony from ChiroEdge. This has been another episode of the Chiropractic Research Breakdown. I love you. I missed you. Go slay some subluxation today. Clear out some vagus nerves. You're going to change lives.